As predicted, in the month of March, CRO had a beautiful bounce at the logarithmic rainbow chart, and therefore also breaking out of a 3-month downtrend. So things are looking definitely bullish for CRO. However, you have to also take a look at the big picture, where we do see the S&P 500 breaking down after recession fears, and also Bitcoin is reacting quite negatively. So is it time to buy or time to sell for the CRO token? Well guys, I would say let's strap in and let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only Coin Baron, and this video is sponsored by Wolfswap, a great place to buy or sell CRO directly on the Cronos chain. But more about that later. In this video, we'll do a monthly review if it's time to buy or sell CRO based on all the market conditions and charts, of course. But since we did the last video in March about is it time to buy or sell, so much happened really. It was ridiculous. So we got, for example, the new Golden Age proposal where we accepted to actually mint 70 billion more CRO, bringing back a total supply to 100 billion. So this was a big thing, of course. And also the price had a big spike after the news, both to the downside as well as to the upside. So in this video, I want to do a lot of TA. I want to talk about the charts. I also want to talk a bit about macro, and also I want to talk about a few things more. But don't forget to first hit the like button and subscribe for more. Let's get started with the big narrative for the month of April, which are tariffs. Tariffs, tariffs, and tariffs. And I'm getting tired of the subject, but this, guys, is simply the most important topic right now. As you can see, the Trump tariff might be nudging the world towards a recession. And if anything is hated by stocks, it is a recession. So you can also see, if I show you guys the S&P 500, due to the uncertainty, people are currently cashing out to the relative safety of the US dollar. And we're going to talk about the strength of the US dollar later as well. But you can see on the chart, we're down almost 20. And that is really bad here for the S&P. Even though for Bitcoin, minus 17%, that's a normal Thursday. I want to show you guys though, and I've talked about this in the past as well, but honestly, this is not the first time we've been talking about tariffs and fear and recession and uncertainty. Back here in the first Trump administration, we also had the tariff talk, and we also had retaliation from China. That brought us down about 20% as well. So we can dip maybe a bit lower, but we're getting close to at least the previous lows if we're talking about a 20% dip. So that is somewhat promising. And there's enough talk, I think, about stocks, but you have to understand, guys, that the S&P is still very much correlated with Bitcoin, as we can see over here. So this is, guys, the S&P overlaid by Bitcoin and Bitcoin gains. And overall, you can see it's mainly correlated here because big money is flowing into both Bitcoin as well as stocks. And also on the S&P 500, we do have strategy that, of course, is hoarding loads and loads and loads of Bitcoin. And also got Coin, and we got multiple exchanges, Robinhood, and they also are somewhat dependent on the success of Bitcoin. But I think the funny thing to see here is, though, that we see a bit of decoupling here. We do see a bit of decoupling because while the S&P is dumping, Bitcoin is even going up a bit. And this is honestly kind of unheard of. The S&P going down about 5%, while Bitcoin is going up about 1%. This is honestly kind of crazy. Typically, if stocks are going down about 2%, then Bitcoin is going down 10% because Bitcoin is a more risky asset. However, this time around, it is not yet happening. But therefore, I also want to show you this quick message here because I completely agree with this. Benjamin Cowen posts, usually when stocks fall and Bitcoin doesn't, everyone starts noticing how well Bitcoin is doing and people start talking about it, like today. Then shortly after, though, Bitcoin falls too. And I've seen this happen time after time after time. And again, I do not think that stocks and Bitcoin are completely decoupled, even though today we're seeing Bitcoin going up while stocks are going down. So guys, it is maybe a good direction, but we're not yet the actual digital gold. And while we mentioned gold has been on an absolute run in the month of March due to the uncertainty, because currently, as you see, we went to a new all-time high and you had to pay $100 for just 1 gram of gold. 1 gram, $100. So guys, gold on an absolute run. But I think if we also see some more recovery from the S&P, if we see something like with the Trump pump here, so We had the dump and then we also had the pump again. If you get a similar quick V-shaped recovery, then also gold is going to slowly dwindle down a bit because they're going into more risky assets like maybe Bitcoin. But I also want to talk about Ethereum and Cronos again today. Let's get started though with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, it is feeling very, very slow. It is feeling very, very slow. But I also want to show you what happened in 2017, because what has been going on here with going up and then slowing down, going up and then slowing down, it is not like what we have experienced really in 2021 and 2022, because this was really a quick parabolic rise with also then a double top pattern. So if you take a look at where were we exactly 4 years ago, if you still believe in the 4-year cycle, 4 years ago, we were at the Pico top of the first part really of this bull run. And we're not there yet, guys. I don't think we are there yet. I don't think there's going to be a double top here this cycle. I think we have more room to grow for Bitcoin, because it is not like, I think, the 2021 bull run. I think it's more like the 2017 bull run here, where also there you can see we had lots of periods with lots of time to recover again. And these times are brutal. Like also these months are very much brutal. And you can see that this top here, where were we like 8 years ago? Well, 8 years ago, we were kind of at the beginning really of this parabolic rally. 8 years ago, we're at the beginning of this parabolic rally. So I also did something here with Bitcoin. I did something, and it's definitely, I would say, dubious speculation. But if you overlay the 2017 bull run on top of the current cycle, it's looking something like this here. It's looking something like this. And then we would be talking about a top, give or take in October. Give or take in October. Here it does mention 250,000. I don't know if it will go that high, but I think this is more likely to happen than a double top here like what we've seen in 2021. But okay, so Bitcoin is looking great. And also Bitcoin dominance so far has been going up and up and up and up only. And that is bad for altcoins, guys. That is bad for altcoins, relatively seen at least. So here you can see Bitcoin dominance on the rise. Due to all the uncertainty in the markets, I do believe people will prefer a less risky asset like Bitcoin over altcoins like Ethereum, Solana, and maybe even CRO. And if you take a look also, if you zoom out on the Bitcoin dominance chart, we can get a short-term target here by using the Fibonacci retracement levels. And that would get us as high as about 66%. So what can happen, for example, maybe let's go to Ethereum quickly. Let's say Ethereum, one of the biggest altcoins available there, it might be stuck here at about this 1800 level for some time, like what we have seen here, exactly in the first part really of the retracement of the 2021 bull run. So exactly then also 1800. So maybe it's stuck here for some time while Bitcoin is recovering according also to the 2017 bull run. Maybe Ethereum is a bit later, and then we can finally fulfill that big gap here until 66%. Because of course, guys, if Ethereum is struggling but Bitcoin is doing well, then this number can go up quite easily. But enough talk about Bitcoin dominance, enough talk about Ethereum, about equities. Let's quickly talk about the real deal here, CRO. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. Whether you're bullish or bearish on CRO, you can make all your trades directly on the Wolfswap platform. And not only for CRO, but also for all other Cronos chain tokens, like for example Lion. And if you don't want to buy or sell right now, you can also use the limit function on their platform. Let's say you want to sell CRO for exactly $1. Well, you can set that buy or sell order already right now on that platform. Check it out in the link in the description down below. On the day, we had an AMA with Chris Marszalek, and more about that AMA in the top right. We had a beautiful breakout to the upside, bringing CRO from about 8 cents to about 12 cents. So a 50% pump within just 1 day. And that's also for crypto quite a great day, honestly. And that was also important to bring us back in the top 50 range on the CoinMarketCap ranking. Anyway, so what you can see, what followed was us really bouncing around in a new structure. We can call this a bit of a bullish pennant. But unfortunately, after a short breakout here to the upside, we had the tariff news that brought us down quickly again to reality. And currently we're sitting at this white line, and this white line is quite important because also previously it was or support or resistance. So I hope really we can cement this as support and bringing us up again to the blue line, hopefully, and maybe even further. So, for example, to the green line here. That is, I think, all hopium for the next weeks. I also want to bring up here the rainbow chart because that green line corresponds again also with the shift from blue to green on the rainbow chart. So honestly, guys, if we can really continue the pump like we've done earlier as well. So here you can see we had green pump after green pump after green pump. If we can do something similar, that would be very beneficial for CRO. But of course, typically history never really repeats, but it does sometimes rhyme. And I think there's still a possibility that we can, well, this week, of course, will be red after all the bad tariff news, but we can have a great V-shaped recovery also for CRO, and there can be some relative strength as well for CRO due to all the news with the Golden Age proposal, with the Trump partnerships, and also with other things happening currently in the Cronos ecosystem. For example, we haven't really talked about the Lion token, but make sure you stay tuned because soon we're going to talk about a potential flippening from Lion into CRO. But more about that later, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for that one. But overall, Cronos, it has some tailwinds. It has really quite some tailwinds. So if Bitcoin also, goes up a bit, and best case scenario also, we do see Ethereum bouncing up. But in that case, guys, easily I can see a breakout to new levels. But so far, the first thing we need to do really is hold on to our day level here at the white 9.25 cents level. And if not, if we break down after maybe more retaliation, for example, from the EU, there is a potential we go down back again to the breakout target at about 8 cents, 8 cents 40. And if we do that, well, it's going to be tough. It will be more choppy waters, exactly as Chris mentioned in the AMA. And I hope we actually have some better times ahead of us. I do have a bit of a bullish bias for CRO because what I'm seeing on the charts regarding indicators, for example, the MACD. And even though we had a big pump not that long ago, the MACD is still in the red here. Even though it's a light red, it is still the red. And typically, you can see here, once we got really into the green, then we get the big real pumps here. So I do believe there's still a lot of room to grow for CRO in price if you take a look here at the MACD, because it is always going in waves, and yeah, the next wave should become green. It is inevitable just based on the MACD here. But guys, never ever base your bias on only one indicator. That's also why we take a look here at the RSI, and I think that's even more promising, especially in combination with the MACD, because what you can see here is that we're finally going on above really the golden line. And the golden line, that is really important because you can see here, every time we go on top of the golden line, there's a potential for a big boom to the upside. And even here, we had a bit of a short-term bubble. And what I like to see here is that, again, we are quite low. We're relatively low here at about 45. So everything below 50, I think, is a buying opportunity. And that is also how I would like to take a look at the final indicator here, the stochastics. We're still very low to the oversold territory. Everything below 20 is oversold for the stochastics. So again, guys, we have a lot of room to grow, not only based on stochastics, not only based on the RSI, but also just based on what we're seeing on the charts here, guys. It is looking very bullish. And the final indicator, we talked about this earlier, but it's the rainbow chart. It's the rainbow chart. And green, I've told you guys many times, green is the buy zone. Green is the buy zone. So as long as we are in the buy zone, I'm still feeling bullish. Anyways, my confidence into CRO can also be shown here on the Altcoin Season Index. Because if you take a look at the top 50 performers for last month, we can see that Bitcoin, the black one, was minus 9%, and CRO went up. It was the green candle here, plus 1.5%. So that's honestly looking very good in comparison with Bitcoin. And also, if you take a look at the Altcoin Season Index again, that's happening all the while Bitcoin is having a blast. We have talked about Bitcoin dominance as well, but right now it is Bitcoin season. Bitcoin is outperforming basically all the altcoins, with a few exceptions, of course. And the good thing to know is that in Bitcoin season is not endless. Bitcoin season is also going in waves like the MACD. So typically, we're just waiting again for a new altcoin season, like what happened in July. So we had a Bitcoin summer, and then we had, I think, really an altcoin winter. So maybe this might be happening once more in the upcoming months. Again, guys, it's about waves. It can dip deeper low. It can dip a lot deeper because the uncertainty, because of the fear, because of bearishness. So we might see even as low levels for Bitcoin dominance or Bitcoin season here as June 23. But only time can tell. In general, though, the market is fearful, as you can see here on the Fear and Greed Index. But remember what they say, be greedy when others are fearful, because that is really a way to accumulate really at those cheap discount prices. It is not as bad as last month when we had 25, but still 30 is not much better. So guys, I am personally buying right now. If you ask me the question, is it time to buy? I am accumulating more. Even though I've been right so far, for example, with the rainbow chart, I also made my fair share of mistakes, but it's also mainly in the short term. In the long term, guys, it is zooming out and thinking about the big picture. That's also why next month we will be back with the month of May to really keep zooming out. So make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more. But let me know in the comments down below what you think. Are you bullish, bearish? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments down below. And also don't forget to check out this AMA here with Chris Marsalek, because I think there are golden pieces of information there that you cannot miss.